Hey, what's going on, people? You're here with Sean Brooks, aka the real estate guy. I'm going to explain some things to you. Um, I'm going to shed some light on another video that I recently did, where I break down mortgage rates, right? Or when the Federal Reserve slashes interest rates. All right, so don't get excited, don't get hyped, don't get misled. Um, When the Federal Reserve drops the Federal Reserve rate, that's what it's called. Oh, hold on, I got to say something. I am a realtor with the understanding of how this process works. Typically, you're going to get these full answers from a nice, uh, seasoned loan consultant. This is their world. This is what they do. I just have knowledge of it, right? And I'm able to explain it in a way where you're not going to be misled. All right. So let's talk about Federal Reserve rates. When you hear news that the Federal Reserve slashed the rates by 0.25 basis points or 0.75, 0.50, whatever it may be, right? That affects car notes, car interest rates, credit cards, personal loans. It really doesn't affect mortgage rates because these rates for the mortgages are backed by what's called the bond, a bond rate. So when the bond goes up and the bond goes down, right, that dictates what happens with the mortgage rates. So this is a site that many people in the industry uses to look up what's going on with mortgage rates. Now, for you to understand this chart, right, and what this means, this is like the national rate. Is a survey, to figure out what the actual rates may be. So currently, right now, at this particular moment, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, Monday now. The rate is 6.20. It's a pretty good rate. If you notice, it says it changed, not by very much, right? By very little. Okay. So it gives the different rates for the different terms: 15 years, 30-year jumbo. That was nasty. The arm, 30-year FHA, 30-year fixed. All right. Um, and then if you notice here, it has more charts. So it'll show you a chart, right? And this is the trend. This is what's going on with the rate, right? So if you retrace when the Federal Reserve announced the rate going down, right? Then you go to this chart and you can actually track and see if it went up or down. Sometime when the Federal Reserve lowers the rate, the interest rate goes up. It's because you got to look at the bond market. You have to check the bond market to really figure out what's going on with rates. All right. So I just wanted to explain that to you.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, it's his job to keep the power on. That's why he chooses Granger for professional grade products and next day delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call, click, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done. This is the story of the one. As a lineman, it's his job to keep the power on. That's why he chooses Granger for professional grade products and next day delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call, click, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done. If you're looking to buy a house in 2026, the buzzword all you're going to hear is affordability. And a lot of people just don't realize it's not the prices of the home that's making a lot of houses entails that mortgage payment. And is that overall payment affordable or unaffordable? And this is just one little piece of the puzzle. So let's get over to it. If you're a homeowner right now, you're looking for some reprieve, help me out. I'll call you, I'll email you, we'll go statement looks like. So once you buy a house, you're going to get this each month, and you'll see, don't look at the interest because the interest will kind of freak you out. But here's what it looks like. It's going to go through and give you all these details. Here's the amount that you have to pay, and then down through here, principal amount, I owe 200. The number one question I get from everybody is, Dan, where are rates going to go, and does it make sense to refinance? So if you're a homeowner and you've already set up with the system, or you haven't set up in our system yet, I have a new Rate Watch 2.0 that we just launched. So this is for homeowners to try to track interest rates to figure out, is there a perfect time to lock in that rate? So if you're monitoring interest rates, trying to find that perfect time to refinance, well, let's put the heavy work on me. So what we introduced is Rate Watch 2.0 right through here. What you can do is you can actually put in your information about your mortgage right into the system. What we'll do is we'll monitor the rate for you. So when the rate hits exactly where you're looking. This credit card has an... Hey guys, Dan Frio, the Mortgage Update here. And today we want to talk about credit scores and how we're going to work together to get your credit scores from 400, 500 to maybe over 800 with six maybe simple little tweaks that I'm going to walk you through step by step. And this doesn't even take any money to do that, other than one piece of the puzzle that I want you to do. I want you to invest maybe like $20 or $30. And here's what I mean by that. And here's why. We need to get a benchmark on your credit scores. So before we get started, if you like this video and a lot of the other videos I put together, please don't forget to subscribe below. And also, if you would, give me a thumbs up so I know that I'm doing a good job. Or if you want to, also leave a thumbs down in the comments and tell me what I'm doing or not doing right and what you'd like to see. So also at the end of this video, I'm going to give you two pieces of this big puzzle. One is going to be how you can get a copy of a free credit report. It's not a gimmick. It's not a trick. The CFPB has announced that you are entitled to a free credit report each year. But the $30 I was talking about is going to place a benchmark or give us a lot of tools that we're going to use in these few tricks that I'm going to show you on how to get your credit scores up. We could probably get you up 100 or 200 points within 30 days. Okay. The other thing is, at the end of the video, I'm going to give you a company that can help you with if you have collections, judgments, false information on your credit report, miscellaneous information on there that just shouldn't be there. If you're a junior or a senior and you have the other person's information on there, it's a full-time job getting a lot of this stuff fixed, corrected, and things like that. So it might be a little small investment that you have to take if you hit any of those categories. To invest in to get that cleaned up. And they can usually have you cleaned up within 90 days. So let's get on to it. Here are some of the big tricks, or a few huge tricks that I'm going to give you on what I need you to do. Even if you have a 700 credit score, these little tactics that I'm going to give you, I won't say tricks, we'll reference them as tactics. I'm going to give you some tactics to do to increase your credit scores. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing, this is where I want to start the benchmark. Okay, I want you to get a copy of your actual credit report with your FICO scores. Okay, I'm going to emphasize your FICO scores and why. And I'll put some other videos together to go over that with you. But your FICO score is the score that most lenders, almost all lenders, use in categories such as mortgages and cars to grant you credit or not. It's not your Credit Karma score, believe it or not. Credit Karma score is not used by any lenders, period. It's an educational tool or an educational number to give you just some information or teach you about the credit scoring system. Okay. So, what I want to do is I want you to get an actual credit report with FICO scores. And that's going to give us the benchmark and give us a lot of details that we're going to need in regards to these tactics that we're going to go through. Okay. One of the things that a lot of people ask me is, or tell me not to do, is pull their credit because they had another lender pull their credit. And by me pulling their credit, it's going to hurt their credit scores or drop their credit scores. Wrong. In the mortgage, I'm a mortgage broker in Chicago, and I have been for over 29 years. And I get that comment quite a bit. So how the algorithms read in the credit bureau system is if you're buying a car or a mortgage, they're expecting you to have multiple pulls within a short period of time. Okay. So if you have a couple lenders pull your credit within a week or two, you're not going to be affected. If you went to another company and they pulled your credit 3 days ago and I pulled yours today, we'd most likely get exactly the same score unless some creditor posted information during that time frame. Okay, so that's one of the things I want to go over. So let's get on to it was 2 days ago. Like, back. Well, here we go, folks. So what happened was the Federal Reserve, they cut, you probably know, 25 basis points. We're waiting for the Federal Chairman to come in and start speaking. You won't be able to hear it, and I'm going to put it on mute. I want to go over exactly what happened. I want to show you instant market reactions to all this and everything else. But he'll be talking here soon. We're going to put that on pause for a second. What I want to show you guys is right through here. If you try to go to Mortgage News Daily, you can't get in. People are just flooding that site to try to figure out what's going on with rates. So here's what happened right now. So the bond market opened up, or the Federal Reserve came out, and they said exactly what they're going to do. And here's what usually happens. You have this immediate spike. Okay, so let's go over to maybe a 2 or 3 day chart. So here's, you can see, we're only back to where we were. So the bond, I'm going to show you instant market reactions to all.
All right, I'm gonna show you one of the lenders in the country that does a lot of videos on YouTube, right? And he breaks this stuff down. He breaks it down. So I just want you to pay attention for a second right now. I'm going to play this video a little bit where he's going to talk about the Fed chairman is about to talk about the basis points that's being dropped. But take a look at this.
All this and everything else, but he'll be talking here soon. We're going to put that on pause for a second. What I want to show you guys is right through here. If you try to go to Mortgage News Daily, you can't get in. People are just flooding that site to try to figure out what's going on with rates. So here's Here's what happened right now. So the bond market opened up, or the Federal Reserve came out, and they said exactly what they're going to do. And here's what usually happens: you have this immediate spike. Okay, so let's go over to maybe a 2 or 3 day chart. Um,
Now, what is this? This is talking about the bond rate. This is the stock market. This is what dictates if the rates go up or down. Just pay attention.
so here's you can see we're only back to where we were, like, you know, back here. So not too far. Even this with this bump, we're only back, back to these dates. Not that far back. So the markets really didn't move all that much, and you can see how it's starting to peter out right now. So as soon as the Federal Reserve came in and they announced their cut, what we saw was the MBS market jumped all the way up to 20, and then this is what usually happens. We have to sit here and wait for the markets to kind of digest the data, figure out what they said, what they did, and also what they're going to tell us right through here. But I want to fast forward a little bit and go over what they did and why they did it, and then how this is going to affect mortgage rates, because that's why you're here. We're also going to talk what's this going to do the equity markets as well. But you're probably going to see the MBS market just kind of go right back down to normal. They're going to digest all the verbiage that the Federal Reserve came out with. We're going to go over that in a second, and the new dot plot. Now, here's the curveball that I guess that was thrown. Remember, we talked about there was a new Fed official just voted in. I think it was 2 days ago, a Federal Reserve official quit or resigned a couple months ago, and the president came in and he assigned a new person to that person's seat, and they were voted in, I think, like Monday night by the Senate. They voted today, and they voted that they want 5 rate cuts. So let's throw that one.
All right. So what he's talking about there is over the next few months, that it's different chairmen. I think it's about 12 different Fed chairmen that makes up and reports to the chairman that we all see, right? But they all vote. So each one votes how many rate cuts they would like to see. The one he's talking about, he's saying 5 over the next year, right? So just listen up.
Out of the equation. But what the good news was is the other people that are in the top contentions for the Federal Reserve, they all in tandem voted for 25 basis points cuts, and that was a difference between this time and last time. Almost everybody voted for the cuts except one person. Last time there was a dispute there. Now, what's coming in is they're now saying via the dot plot, and we're trying to figure out, I'm trying to find that for you. I'm going to go over the dot plot with you guys. Now they're signaling, most of them, it might come across the headlines here. It was going, let's see if it goes through here. It was on the headline saying, based on the new dot plot, which I'm still trying to find, there appears to be 2 more rate cuts this year. So that's hopefully solidifying where the Federal Reserve is going to go from here. Look, talks, decision cuts, where rates are heading. Okay, so but basically what there's being told by us now is on the dot.
Now, so you can have some context. This was done, recorded, I think it was 3 months ago. Somewhere around there. Yeah, streamed 3 months ago. Right. So 3 months ago, this was said.
Plot, there's going to be 2 more rate cuts this year, which was kind of on the table but off of the table. But let's first talk about what exactly are we talking about when we talk about the federal funds rate right through here. Let's see if this updates, because this is the rate that the Federal Reserve just reduced. They went from 4.25 to 4.5. There's always a range there, a spread, and they just cut it to 4 to 4.25. Let's see if that gets updated. No, let's see. No, it's still there. Okay, so but what this is, let's first, I'm going to explain to you what this is. Okay, so this is interbank lending. So when one bank needs money from another bank overnight, they basically can get money at that interest rate. So and that's the only rate that the Federal Reserve really controls. So if a bank, let's say, is insolvent at the end of the day, and they're like, hey, we need $1 million to become solvent, they go out and get $1 million lent to them overnight, put it in their coffers, they're solvent, and they close. Okay, so this really doesn't help where mortgage rates are coming from, because we have to look at the long end of the maturity curves when it comes to interest rates. This is short-term maturities. This is going to help people with credit cards and like personal loans.
See what I was saying? It's a difference, short term and long term. Notice what he's saying. Credit card, card notes, car loans and stuff like that, right?
car loans, things like that. But when you start talking like longer term bonds, that's why people look at the 10-year bond to figure out what's going
Notice what he said, 10-year bond, right? Because that's what dictates mortgage rates, interest rates.
on with mortgage rates. So let's kind of dive over to this right now, and I can show you what's going on behind there. The good news right now is we really want this thing to close below 4%. 4%. You saw that it dipped down there right after the Federal Reserve announced, and then it came back up. The reason why is the 10-year note is more comparable to where mortgage rates are going because it's a longer term bond. So what the Federal Reserve basically did is when they cut short term rates or their rate, all these short term maturities kind of dropped. You saw the 2-year Treasury and the last dropping in rates. But here's what we're seeing with the long end of the bubble. Really didn't move anything. It actually went up 0.0004. So here's the kind of the backdrop on all this is why there's a lot of divergence with the Federal Reserve. Is this they're saying, well, the mortgage rates and the 10-year long end of the bonds, they're more based on our government's fiscal policies, okay, like the deficit and like GDP and the tariffs and all these other things. So here's why the markets just kind of stabilize and come right back down to it. Once the euphoria comes out of this number, and everybody was expecting a 25 base point cut. What the people were looking for is what the dot plot is signaling down the road, and that dot plot is signaling 2 or more rate cuts, and that had a nice little spark rally into the market, or right at that time. So this is what happened initially into the market. We popped up 20, I think it was 22 points, and now we're giving it all back. Because now what they're going to look at, and as the analysts look at this and the numbers, is, okay, where are we with the deficit? It's still not in check. Where are we with tariffs? Well, it's still with the Supreme Court. And where are we up with the GDP? The good news is GDP is increasing, so that helps offset a lot of our deficits. But that still doesn't, address the areas that the Federal Reserve monitors, which is right through here. So this is the data that the Federal Reserve monitors, and they just reduced this today. Their biggest thing, if you go back over the last 2 years, at first it wasn't, the employment numbers were fantastic. We don't have an employment number issue, but then it was inflation. Then they're like, okay, inflation's in check. Now employment's a problem. And then it went back to inflation's the worst that we got. But then remember, 2 weeks ago, we lost 1 million people in the workforce. And then last week, we got revisions of another 300,000 people. So now they're saying, if you look at the notes from the Federal Reserve, you go over to here. Hopefully I found that. Federal Reserve, there's the bonds. I want to find for you guys. Here it is. Here's the statement that they just posted. I know you guys will never be able to read this. I'll try to upload or post it as big as I can, but here's what they said right there here. The only change in the verbiage is most of the red stuff, and I'll just read that to you. Job gains have slowed, and the unemployment rate has edged up but remains low. They're saying now that the unemployment rate's probably about 4.5, or that's what they're comfortable with right now. Inflation has moved up, remains somewhat elevated. Okay, so we know that in the inflation numbers as the tariff numbers trickle in, because every month we have another tariff that takes effect, and it's causing the inflation. I think the inflation numbers to kind of be drawn out a little bit further than a one-time tariff hit, and then you have that pop, and then you run from there. So I'm expecting, the inflation numbers to keep ticking up maybe by 0.1, 0.2, but nothing to get out of hand. So when you go through here, this is what they're saying based on that. The committee is attentive to the risk to both sides of the dual mandate, which is full employment, which is anything under 5%, and the keeping the prices in check, aka inflation. And judging that the downside risks to employment have risen, they're going to cut rates a quarter point. Okay, so
All
the
right.
two people in most.
So I'm not going to continue with this video, but you get the idea, right? That the rates are not dictated by the Federal Reserve rate, even though your president wants to fool you with that, right? Oh yeah, lower it, lower it, lower it, lower it. And I'm guessing he wants to lower it for credit card payments, loans, stuff like that. But you'll hear him say to help the housing market. I don't think he has a clue. All right, but I just wanted to educate you guys so you understand this, that this is where these rates come from. Like I've seen where the Federal Reserve cut the rate and the mortgage rates went up. I've seen that. Normally, here's my suggestion. Stop focusing on the rate as much. We need to focus on the cost of the houses. Need to slow that part down. You need to capture that part. And the reason why I'm saying this is this. Let's say you lock in for 6.2. A year later, it goes down to 5.2. All right. So now you have the option to refinance to 5.2. Now, before you do that, contact me so I can help guide you through that process so you don't jam yourself up. Where refi? Like if you did 5 years already on a 30, don't refi into another 30. Try to go for 25 or something shorter. All right, that's my tip. Now, you can't wait a year later and renegotiate what you're paying on the house, but you can with the interest rate. So put that in a notepad, store that away, understand how that works. And I'm just giving you a jewel there, right? A little nugget. But when it comes down to interest rates, contact your handy loan consultant and they'll be able to help you out. All right. So I'm a realtor that understands that world because one of my friends early on in my career, um, we had started off at a financial institution. He left and went to the mortgage business. When he went to the mortgage business, he basically taught all of us as friends about how it works. So I had a way better understanding than the other people, right? And I use that still to this day. All right. So if you have anything related to real estate, like you want to know the buying process, you want to know about credit, you want to know um, different first-time home buyer programs that's available out there in the public, reach out to me. I'm a resource. I have a lot of information. All right. So take care. Hopefully this video was helpful to you so you can understand, about the interest rates.